Trump advisor Jason Miller takes a pop at Clinton by saying crooked Hillary will be next to be pardoned. Donald Trump has pardoned former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Advisor Jason Miller joked that Hillary Clinton would be next to be pardoned. She has never faced charges, but many Trump supporters want her arrested. And I think you know the predictability of Twitter. Not really a place of original thought, but they would say, well, maybe Trump should pardon himself as well. He needs to pardon everybody. I think we heard about that, right? But the reality is, and that's something that you and I know all too well, is that individuals that are high-ranking officials, high-level people in government, they would never face repercussions like that. That Hillary Clinton, though the slogan was great, that she was never going to jail. Somebody at that elite level, that deeply embedded in politics, would never go to jail. You may get some lower level individual, some local mayor, city council member, something like that, but you can commit murder, allegedly, and still be out there, walking the streets. People say that about the Clintons, the Kennedys, etc. You know how it is. The rules for the justice system don't really apply to individuals at that level. And the same would be true of Trump. For all of the talk about the left wanting to get some retribution for Trump's crimes of disagreeing with them, that he should be jailed for that, that he's never going to see the inside of a jail cell, as much as the New York district attorneys may be trying on that end. Probably won't see any issues either regarding his taxes outside of a fine, but let's get into the pardons real quick. Who's next in line for a Trump pardon? Paul Manafort, Steve Bannon, Rick Gates, and even Joe Exotic are among the names in the frame as the president exercises his right in his final weeks of office. There's a growing list of people seeking pardons from President Donald Trump, and I touched on this a couple weeks ago. They include Tiger King Joe Exotic. I still can't deal with that guy. Just the thought of that guy just makes me laugh. Former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort and former Trump aide Steve Bannon. Jared Kushner also working on getting nonviolent convicts paroled as part of his work on criminal justice reform. Hopes were raised after Trump pardoned Michael Flynn on Wednesday. Is Jared Kushner working on criminal justice reform? Don't seem to recall a lot of that being covered in the mainstream media on particular sides of the aisle. Particularly of interest are Manafort and two other Trump campaign advisors, Rick Gates and George Papadopoulos, who, like Flynn, were convicted in cases stemming from special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. There's whatever that is. Gates pleaded guilty to conspiracy against the United States and making false statements in the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. On December 17, 2019, he was sentenced to 45 days in jail and 3 years of probation. Papadopoulos pleaded guilty to making false statements to FBI agents about the timing and possible significance of his contacts in 2016 relating to U.S.-Russia relations and Trump's campaign. He served 12 days in prison and then was placed on 12 months supervised release. Both have ties to Manafort, who is serving time after being convicted of conspiracy to defraud the United States and witness tampering. He is on home confinement due to the CV. The president knows how much those of us who worked for him have suffered, and I hope he takes that into consideration if and when he grants any pardons, Gates told the New York Times. Also in Trump's circle are Steve Bannon, his former White House counselor, who was indicted in August on charges of defrauding donors regarding a campaign to help fund Trump's goal to build a wall along the border with Mexico, and Elliot Broidy, a top GOP fundraiser who pleaded guilty last month in a foreign lobbying case. But attorneys and others who have been in touch with the White House told the New York Times they anticipate the president will use his power to pardon in cases that extend beyond those involving Mueller's inquiry and the lengthy cast of aides and associates who have gotten in legal trouble since he first ran for the White House. Several groups are working with Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and advisor, with a goal of announcing as many as hundreds of commutations for offenders now in jail for crimes ranging from nonviolent drug convictions to mail fraud and money laundering. Lists of people are being circulated. Brandon Sample, a Vermont lawyer who specializes in presidential election pardons, and has submitted several names of people to be considered, told the Times. Others seeking a pardon include Joseph Maldonado Passage, the former zoo owner who is better known as Joe Exotic, who starred in the Netflix documentary Tiger King. He is 1 year into a 22-year sentence for hiring a hitman to kill an animal rights activist. Many people's opinion of her is that she's a piece of trash and potentially had some involvement in the disappearance of her husband. I'm not going to get into all that. You can watch the documentary and judge for yourself. His team has been trying to catch Trump's attention through appearances on Fox News and a visit to the Trump International Hotel in Washington, where they ran up a tab of about $10,000. In April, Trump said he would take a look at a pardon for the so-called Tiger King. He's going to say that about anybody. Right? I'll take a look at it. Yeah, go away. Matt Gaetz says Trump should pardon Flynn, the Thanksgiving turkey, and everyone from himself to his admin to Joe Exotic if he has to. The left has a bloodlust that will only be quenched if they come for those who fought with @real Donald Trump to deliver for the American people. We skipped ahead a little bit, and this is in reference to the Flynn pardoning. They're saying here, Democrats have lambasted the pardon as undeserved and unprincipled. Those unbiased Democrats, let's see what they say about it. I'm sure that they're acting in the best interest of the people, that their heart's in the right place. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called it an grave act of corruption and a brazen abuse of power. And if anybody knows about corruption and power, it's Nancy Pelosi, while Rep. Adam Schiff, another guy who certainly knows about abuse of power, Russia. Right, Adam? The Democrat chair of the House Intelligence Committee said, a pardon by Trump does not erase the truth of Flynn's guilty plea, no matter how Trump and his allies try to suggest otherwise. Nadler called the move an abuse of power, another idiot there, arguing Trump granted clemency to protect an individual who might have implicated the president in criminal misconduct. Question I have for those of you out there, maybe I'm getting the facts right, but let's scroll down to some comments. Didn't Papadopoulos, wasn't he the one that then became a never-Trumper? Wasn't he on other networks? Didn't he write a book against Trump? Am I wrong on that? Was it him? If it was him, then why would a pardon come his way? And with the lack of severity of his charges, or I guess his time, why would he really be worried about a pardon anyway? Anyone who was against Trump can just come out and write more books. Once Trump leaves office, more books, write another book. People will want to hear the feel-good story for 2021. Somebody says here, whoever pays the fee, not complicated. Maybe. But keep in mind, it works that way for both sides. I say Bannon, at least he's not letting out major drug dealers that killed many people and destroyed families like the last president. Is that true? I don't know. I'd have to look into that. If anybody's got any links on that, let me know. Donald, look up the word loser in any dictionary and see whose picture is above it. Hint, his face is orange. Well, I love internet commentary, baby. You showed him. Way to go, Isolante. You really showed him. Unless you were talking about yourself, of course. Hopefully everyone convicted during the Democrats' witch hunt trials over the past 4 years. Somebody else says here, Julian Assange, I hope. And that's what people have talked about in terms of the big-time names. Assange, Manning, Snowden, all of those individuals. And I mentioned those people before when I was talking about it a few weeks ago. So who's next? Who do you see being next? Tiger King, let him rot. Throw Carol in there with him. They both can rot as far as I'm concerned, because they both came off extremely creepy during the Netflix documentary. No spoilers, though, for the few of you who haven't seen it. Is it worth a watch? Probably not. Is it a waste of time? Definitely so. Will you feel a certain way after watching it? Definitely. Will your stomach be sick and queasy? Probably, just as if you ate too much turkey yesterday. Take care, everybody. Be well.